Absolute pain for Yankees fans in game one, including myself. Yankees lose via grand slam from Freddie Freeman, 6-3 in game one of a World Series, an absolutely wild game one of the World Series. I'm Ryan Sampson. This is the Pinstripe Postgame live show, and that's our guy, Greg Joyce, Yankees beat writer for the New York Post. Starting off, Greg, your initial thoughts. Freddie Freeman, walk-off grand slam. What a game. What are you thinking right now, man?
Yeah, I mean, if you take it from an outside perspective, it's quite a classic game, lived up to the hype of World Series Game 1, Yankees Dodgers. But if you're a Yankee fan, that's a pretty crushing one. Looking like at first like Stanton's home run was going to be the difference, 2-1. Then Glaber has the error that gives Ohtani the extra 90 feet, comes home and ties it up on the sac fly. Then you take the lead again, the top of the 10th there, and then just sets it up for devastation in the bottom of the 10th. It's just like, I mean, all game you're just you're cognizant of where Ohtani is in the lineup, right. And he's coming back around, and and Nestor Cortez comes in, pitches the first time in a month, and gets Ohtani out thanks to a incredible play there by Verdugo, play. and then seemed like the right call to intentionally walk Mookie Betts, but then you bring up Freddie Freeman, who's on really one foot, and he just leaves an inside fastball there, right. Seemed like in Freddie's hot zone there, and just absolutely crushes it. Kind of a Kirk Gibson moment there on 1 foot. So, it's quite a heck of a game to start off, but Yankees would be kind of regretting a couple of plays on that one to not be able to pull it out.
Yeah, Greg, let's really break this down here in the extra innings, man. I know you painted it perfectly on what exactly happened play by play, but the decision there from Boone to ultimately decide, listen, we're going to bring in Nestor Cortez for Ohtani in that situation because, and there's other things that led up to this too. The fact that they pinch run for Glaber with Jason Dominguez, which forces Oswaldo Cabrera to take over at second base. You get the ground ball to second base, and Oswaldo can't come up with the ball. I felt like that's a play Glaber probably makes most times. I know Oswaldo is a great fielder, and they love him with a glove anywhere in the infield. You don't get the double play there, so that's an interesting call that led to that because Glaber also had the misplay earlier in the game, but ultimately they don't get the ground ball there. You get the Ohtani flyout. Insane play by Verdugo, mind you. I mean, he flipped over the wall. I mean, that was insane to watch. But then Boone decides to intentionally walk Betts, who they had gotten out all night tonight. I mean, they had not given up any hits to Betts. And you decided to go with Freeman, who did line that double down the left field line, which turned into a triple after the Verdugo misplay. It's a curious decision, though, Greg. Nestor Cortez hasn't pitched for over a month, and he's dealing with this elbow injury. I know it was the big story coming into today is that Nestor made the World Series roster, and he said he was going to be doing whatever they needed. He got the big out versus Ohtani, but ultimately he could not get that final one from Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, it's a rough landing for Nestor. Although when you're activated under the World Series roster, there's not going to be any soft landing for you there. But I mean, Boone had Tim Hill and Nestor warming up. You kind of wonder what scenario that Hill would have been in for. Not often that you see two lefties warming at the same time. I think they did it one time in the ALCS, and there was a certain scenario that they had Tim Meza for, and they ended up going Tim Hill. Tim Hill was so good during the ALCS. Obviously it's easy to second guess there. Nestor's had success against Shohei, so I think he was 2 for 12 coming into tonight. So yeah, so you kind of see, okay, he's coming in just for Shohei there, and then he actually gets the out. But then, like you said, they decided to intentionally walk Mookie, which I get. You're playing the left-right splits and go to Freddie, but it's a tough spot for Nestor to come in, and you wonder what happened. Tim Hill, a ground ball guy, and like you said, you're pointing to the ground ball that Oswaldo doesn't get. As many defensive issues as Glaber has, that does seem like a ball that he has pretty good range out the middle there. When he's going at the middle, he's usually pretty stronger. So it's definitely a lot of scenarios like that leave you open for second guessing, including the one to take Garrett Cole out in the 7th inning too, which that kind of has a domino effect because then you're pulling the trigger early on some relievers, and then when you go to 10 innings, then you don't have certain guys left, and so it all kind of piles up in the end.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Boone speaking right now He said he liked the matchup and deciding to bring Nestor Cortez into the World Series for Game 1. I get it. He said just taking left on left matchup there. He didn't deliberate for long on the decision to walk Mookie Betts and go to Freddie Freeman. So, it's going to be a decision that's going to be mulled over, but you got to have a short memory, right? Because you got Game 2 tomorrow night. Greg, you brought up a great point too about the Garrett Cole decision. I thought, Boone had the quick hook. I said out loud to myself when Teoscar Hernandez, he was down 0-2 in that count, and he battled hard against Garrett Cole. I mean, he worked that count back to full, and then he got that high fastball and was able to single that up to center field. I just thought that was a quick trigger. I'm like, Garrett Cole's been dominating all night tonight. Why are you going? And then let's be real, Greg, it's been a up and down roller coaster season with Clay Holmes this year. I know he's had his moments where he's been one of the best relievers in baseball, but the man couldn't throw a strike tonight, and it felt like the Dodgers and Dave Roberts kind of bailed him out by laying down that bunt, which I thought was an interesting decision considering the situation he was in with first and second, right? And then they get the out, and then they got out of that. They got out of that situation. But again, I thought curious decision from Boone to pull Cole. He looked like he was just dominating all night.
Yeah, in the inning before, so it was the sixth inning, right? Edmund leads off with a double to the corner, and then he's basically, it was a double, and then he's on, and then Garrett gets three batters on the top of the lineup. That seems like right when the Dodgers wanted, and he mows those guys down. So I think when the Teoscar was only the fourth base runner he'd allowed all night to lead off the seventh inning. Like you said, he had him 0-2. Then he gets it into a full count. I think it was an 8-pitch at bat. So credit to Teoscar Hernandez there for a strong at bat. But I think Cole's on only at 88 pitches. So obviously, with the way he was cruising, you're going to leave yourself open for second guessing there. And there are certain nights that Clay Holmes comes in, you can kind of tell it early. He doesn't have it. Like you said,
he hit Muncy. He couldn't throw a strike.
Yeah, I think it was two sliders that weren't exactly close to the zone, and then the sweeper that hits him in the dirt. The sack bunt kind of gave him an out there, and then Tom McCanley was able to come in and just keep throwing changeups. I'm not sure he's going to ever throw another pitch at this point. I think
it was like 53.
56. Yeah, I think he's up to 56 now.
That's crazy.
Otani finally hit the 56th one for a double that led to a run there too.
So let's talk about this. So Greg, the Yankees, obviously the two runs they score early, Giancarlo Stanton, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but monstrous home run. But the Yankees, the two runs they gave up tonight, both because of defensive miscues before the grand slam, and both because of defensive carelessness mistakes. I mean, you're talking about time and time again, the Yankees all year long, Greg, you've been covering them. They have these moments where guys just aren't finely tuned defensively in what's going on. The first one being Soto, who tries to make this spectacular catch. It comes up short. The ball goes all the way into the corner. I believe it was Kiki Hernandez ends up all the way in third. And then they score the first run on a sac fly. And then the second one where Otani hits the double off the wall, he throws it in after he clutches. Glaber can't come up with the cutoff, loses the ball. Otani ends up on third, and then Mookie hits the sac fly. It's tie game. It's like you had the opportunities there, Greg, and it felt like they really let this one slip away. We can criticize the extra innings decisions on, bringing Cortez and all that, but the Yankees put themselves in the situation because of the defensive miscues. I don't know how you saw it, but that's how I was reading into this situation again tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly, if you watch them all season, they certainly didn't play the cleanest brand defensively or on the bases for that matter, which that didn't exactly come back to hurt him tonight. It actually helped him. I mean, Jazz had top of the 10th was running the bases to get them that go-ahead run. But, yeah, just the not super crisp defensively there on those two plays that you talked about. The Soto one's tough to tell him to back off. He had to run a long way, but it does seem like if he just pulls up there, he could have been able to kind of play it there for a double. Instead, he runs all the way past and it goes a triple. And just the extra 90 feet come back to kill you time and time again, especially in these tight playoff games where, one run is often the difference. Especially, every game the Yankees play here in the playoffs, it seems like it's decided by one or two runs. Yep. And the one, the one that Glaber tried to play on the short hop is just it's a weird play how he deflects into the middle of the infield and there's nobody there.
There's nobody, Greg. There's nobody there. Who's supposed to be covering that situation?
Yeah, the pitcher is backing up third base, which is the right play, just because that's where the I get it. That's where kind of where the ball's going. I don't know. You could say like Rizzo was over at first base. Maybe he should have been shaded over a little bit towards the mound, but just a weird kind of play where all of a sudden nobody's there. And Glaber didn't seem to have any idea where the ball was. Hindsight, it's easy to say, get in front of the ball, don't just play it off. They
Right.
kind of tried to backhand it there too. So, it's just those little things, like you said, that letting guys get an extra 90 feet, in a game like this, World Series, big stage. It's a lot of times it comes back to haunt you, and it did tonight.
Yeah.
Both those plays.
Yeah. I mean, and those were the 2 runs. I mean, those were the 2 runs the Yankees gave up tonight. And it just felt like there was repeatedly tonight, the Dodgers were getting people on, but they couldn't score, right? They ultimately couldn't capitalize when they're getting guys on base. And the Yankees, they finally get through with Giancarlo Stanton. So let's talk about him. I mean, another home run, Greg. I think it's his 6th home run this postseason. I mean, this is unreal. The rate he's hitting home runs and the way he's coming through for this team. What more can you say about Giancarlo Stanton and the postseason he's putting together for the Yankees right now? I know it's only game 1 of the World Series, but this guy just continues to rake and come up with those big hits for them.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I think each of his last 5 hits are all home runs. He only had 4 hits in the ALCS. They were all home runs. Gets ALCS MVP, and you think he's on fire, and then he just does it time and time again. It's pretty uncanny. It's like there's no one else that I've seen, at least, who can in one at bat have a swing look so rough, and then 2 pitches later he just absolutely crushes it over 400 feet. I think he'd gotten fooled by a curveball. One of the first pitches they at bat, swung through it, and then I think it was just 2 pitches later gets another curveball. It was really below the zone. It wasn't a terrible pitch there by Flaherty, and just absolutely golfs it out, crushes it. He's on another level. Guys have talked all postseason about how he just locks in October, and he feels like he kind of leans into the weight of it all, the pressure of it, the stage of it, and locks in. He's in a different zone right now. I mean, for a while there, it looked like it was just that one swing was going to get them to win, which a lot of times, the home run can kind of be a little bit of it can solve a lot of issues over the course of a night. It almost did there until they gave up the run late.
Yeah, we're talking about Giancarlo Stanton right now and his home run tonight. This is the Pinstripe Post-Game live show. I'm Ryan Sampson. That's Greg Joyce, Yankees beat writer for the New York Post. We're talking this Yankees losing game 1 to the Los Angeles Dodgers of the World Series on walk-off fashion from Freddie Freeman. Tough loss for Yankees fans to watch, including myself. Greg, the other thing I got to talk about here with you is Aaron Judge. Another night to forget for this guy. He's had how many opportunities, including in the 9th inning? Guys on, cannot come through. This is now becoming a serious concern with him. The stats are piling up. They're showing that he cannot come through in the clutch when it comes to the postseason. I don't know. Me personally, I don't know what's going through his mind. What I'm seeing, it looks like he's anxious. His approach is he's being ultra aggressive, and I think swinging at pitches that just aren't good pitches. And I don't know. I just think he's over anxious right now. And Aaron Judge, how concerned should Yankees fans be about with Aaron Judge and how he's looked so far again in game 1 of the World Series?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It feels like the moment keeps finding him, kind of keep giving him opportunities, and really all it takes is one swing to kind of turn it around. And we saw, the home run in the ALCS against the Guardians. It seemed like that was going to, and then it's just, he keeps on getting these opportunities to kind of change the narrative, turn things around, change it. Like, Reggie Jackson said, as long as you have the bat, you can change the narrative, and he keeps on getting these opportunities. Except all it's doing is just kind of mounting the narrative, in the wrong direction for him. Like you said, 1 for 5 tonight, 3 strikeouts. It's just, I think it was the Trinan at bat.
Yeah.
He had a sweeper over the middle of the plate, looked like wanted to do damage with, and he fouled it off. And then a fastball at the top of the zone and just pops it up. It just seems a little bit, he's just kind of missing the pitches that he should be able to do damage. Really all season long did damage with. It's just, it seems like a tick off. It's something they got to kind of figure out here, because if, they're going to win this series, he's got to be, he's got to play a central part in it. And it's just kind of mounting in the wrong direction right now for him.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be the narrative following him until until he ultimately comes up with that moment that he can come through with the clutch for the Yanks. Again, he had plenty of opportunities tonight. Like you said, 1 for 5, 3 Ks. That ninth inning was brutal, considering it was a tie game at that point. You had runners on, and you pop out at 2 outs. It's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, the Yankees and their fans are not forgiving. You got to have a short memory if you're Aaron Judge and try and attack tomorrow for game 2, but it's not good right now. And I think a lot of Yankees fans are losing confidence in him when it comes to him at the plate. And the other guy you mentioned tonight about Jazz Chisholm, he had struggled, I thought, in his first 2 at bats, but then he came through ultimately for the Yankees here, had a couple hits. The 10th inning, he manufactured that run completely by himself, lacing that single into right center. Great play by Mookie Betts, mind you, something that Juan Soto didn't do tonight. I would be honest if I'm being critical here. Mookie Betts sprinting over to right center to prevent that ball from being a double. Jazz stays on first, and then he steals second. He steals third. They walk Rizzo to get to Volpe, who looked anxious tonight and didn't have the greatest swings, but Volpe hits a hard ball up the middle. Jazz comes home, and you're like, okay, let's start cooking. Let's see if the Yankees can steal game 1, considering how close this has been back and forth. I don't know, Greg. First, the Jazz point. What'd you think about him tonight?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they need from him. They don't need the power, the big. It looked like a lot in the CS, especially the night they put him into the cleanout spot. Every swing, it looked like he's trying to hit a 5-run home run, which he does have that power, but they don't need him to be swinging for home runs. Like, he gets on tonight with 2 singles, but in that 10th inning, he gets on with a single, and then he can make it a double or triple with his speed. Especially, it seemed like Treinen, you're pretty slow to the plate. I think Will Smith had a pop time and a throw that was, at one of the highest percentiles on Baseball Savant, and it still didn't matter because Jazz was able to get there, just a slow delivery by Treinen. So that's something to watch moving forward. If they're able to get base runners on him, it seems like they're kind of going to be able to run at will there, because Volpe stole later, wasn't able to, he was stranded at second, which, wouldn't have mattered at that point because you end up getting the home run or the grand slam to make it 6-3. But it seems like, that's exactly what the kind of player they need Jazz to be, though, just to be able to get on base, because once he gets on base, even if it's a single, walk, whatever, he can use his speed to make it a double or a triple and kind of, wreak some havoc on the bases. And he also had a huge play too. I think it was a guy on third against Cole. The infield was playing in. He had a step to his left on a 1-hopper. I think it was Betts had a bullet there, and he had soft hand. The guy's only been playing third base for a couple of months, and there's some times that shows, but in a big spot tonight, he came up big there. So I thought that was, one of the silver linings there was how Jazz looked, just because the first 2 rounds, I think he was 5 for 34. And so thought that was a step in the right direction for him tonight.
Yeah, and he has those tools he has those tools and attributes. He can be special on the bases. Just get on base, Jazz, and you can do some dangerous things and manufacture runs like this. And in the 10th inning, he took over in that situation, and that really became big for the Yanks. Again, Yankees lose 6-3 game 1 of the World Series for Freddie Freeman walk-off home run. I got to ask you, Greg, there's going to be a lot of questions about Boone and the decisions he made tonight. How should we look at this team moving into game 2? What should we look forward to? What kind of decision makings can Boone and this team make to kind of reinforce themselves? I do question, is Nestor right? I don't know if he's probably not going to be available tomorrow. He grooved that ball to Freddie Freeman there, and he shook his head off the mound, which made me kind of think, I don't know if this guy's really prepared to be pitching in these moments. But what should Yankees fans be thinking heading into game 2 here?
Yeah, so I think he threw 2 pitches, right? Because Ohtani was swinging first pitch on the Verdugo great catch, and then potentially Mookie first pitch to Freddie. So it's tough to generate a whole lot just because it's only 2 pitches. But the one to Freeman was kind of right in his breadbasket. That that's bad location, and when you're pitching the first time in a month, hasn't the most he did. He threw 3 live. He faced hitters 3 times over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. So, and then you're thrown into the World Series, and you kind of let the adrenaline take over, and just you're not really. Even Rizzo said the other day, you don't really know what to expect when you have been off for a month, and it could go great, could go a little hairy. Tonight, it just bad location, mislocation, and that happens when you haven't pitched in a month. So, going to be interested to hear why Nestor over Hill. Again, I think Shohei had a lot to do with that, just because Nestor's had the success against him. But yeah, I mean, it's a brutal loss, tough loss. But the Yankees will tell you that they've been able to bounce back from these all year. We heard that a lot when they lost that game in the ALCS against the Guardians, which was a huge gut punch as well, with the 2-run homers in the bottom of the ninth and bottom of the 10th off Weaver and Holmes. So, they have no other choice to get back on it tomorrow. They got Carlos Rodon starting. It's tough when you have Garrett Cole, six plus innings, 1 run. You got to win that game.
Yeah.
And they're not able to. So now you're kind of up against the wall. You really would love to go back to the Bronx, at least with the series tied 1-1. I mean, you would take that going in. So it's, you gotta have a short memory, especially in the playoffs, but especially in the World Series here, where, can't let it kind of one loss derail things. I think, if you're looking for silver linings, I think they saw 5 of the Dodgers relievers tonight, most of their high leverage guys. And, they're going to go a bullpen game 3 or 4. So the more you can see them, the better you should be over the course of a long series. But, I mean, I think it's just, like you said, like the little mistakes add up in a game like this, letting the Dodgers take extra 90 feet here and there. And then, especially when it's a tight game late, those bullpen decisions are going to be magnified, pretty heavily. And, they worked out in the ALCS and tonight, the couple that went down, didn't work out. So, they have no choice but to get back on it tomorrow and kind of flush it and get back, get over it pretty quickly. Cause, if you don't, then, the Dodgers are too good to let things spiral out.
Right. I mean, we can't forget, the Dodgers, like, this is the best team in the National League. They do the little things right, and they're going to make you pay for the mistakes that you make. And that's what happens tonight, ultimately. And that's going to be the storyline from game 1 is the Yankees kind of flushed this game away. They lost their opportunity, and they had a monster chance up 2-1 in the 8th, blowing that lead, up 3-2 in the 10th, blowing that lead. It just ultimately didn't work out. The decisions that Boone made tonight, he's going to have to figure it out tomorrow and try and piece this thing together. It is a chess piece. One person moving from one decision makes the effect on the other. The Glaber sub might have been a rough one that I wonder how that goes tomorrow, but we're going to see what happens. Tough loss for Yankees fans to watch tonight. Freddie Freeman walk-off grand slam. Greg, final thoughts for you, man, as we head into game 2. I know you just kind of summed it up there a little bit, but what are you looking forward to most in game 2 tomorrow night with Rodon on the mound?
Yeah, I mean, Rodon's got to kind of do, see what Garrett did tonight and go after it too, because the Dodgers have Yamamoto starting. And when he pitched against them in June at Yankee Stadium, he was pretty electric. Granted, it was a much different lineup that the Yankees were rolling out that night. So there's a couple of, a handful of guys in the lineup tomorrow night that haven't seen him yet. Obviously, they didn't have Soto for that whole series. So it'll be a different game against him tomorrow night. But they gotta get tomorrow night to bring it back 1-1 to the Bronx. That's a big swing game. In either direction, depending on how it goes. But I mean, you've talked about Judge. They got to get him going. Tonight was the 3rd time this year that a team has intentionally walked Soto in front of him. Obviously, the first one, led to his 300th home run, but really the last 2 have kind of worked out. The other one was, I think, against the Guardians at ALCS, and Judge hit a sacrifice fly. But overall, I think the Guardians, that was the only run that they allowed. I think it was intentionally walking Soto to load the bases with 1 out, I think it was. So all things considered, they take that. And then the one tonight works out in the 9th inning. So, that's the last 2 times it's kind of worked out. And so you kind of wonder, does that keep happening? And Judge seemed to take it personally when it happened, at least during the regular season. He wouldn't say that much, last week when it happened. He seemed to understand a little bit more. But,
right.
As long as he's in this kind of rut that he's in, and the postseason results, not just this year, but over the last couple of years, keep kind of mounting against, that it seems like the noise is only going to get louder. There's one person that can change that. They need him to, kind of be the Aaron Judge that he was for, the entire regular season besides April. So they don't have a ton of time to kind of get it figured out, but, it's got to happen quick just because, but it's World Series. You got got to get back out tomorrow and kind of flush, like we said, flush what happened tonight. Play a crisper brand of baseball, not give those extra 90 feet. And yeah, got to have Carlos Rodon get you off on the right foot.
Yeah, I mean, the key, Rodon's got to be the key. I mean, but Judge, like you said, is the other one. Ohtani came through for the Dodgers tonight. He hit that double in the 8th, which turned into a triple because of the error by Glaber, and he manufactured that run after he got that monster hit in the 8th inning. Same thing again for Freddie Freeman. You intentionally walked Mookie Betts. He took it personal, and he hit a grand slam in the 10th inning. So I think this is the moment now. This is where Aaron Judge has to make his statement and say, I am the captain of this team. I'm going to help this team win its first World Series in 15 years. We're going to see what happens, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to game 2. This is a monster sour taste in my mouth and a lot of Yankees fans' mouths. But they got to wash it away, to your point, and try and fix this. Rodon, all eyes are going to be on you tomorrow night. You're making the big bucks. You've pitched well in the postseason. Hopefully you can keep that going against this really, really good Dodgers lineup. Greg, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you breaking this down for us, the postgame live show, Pinstripe Post. Yankees again lose 6-3 to the Dodgers, game 1 of the World Series. Me and Greg will be doing this again tomorrow night, as long as something special doesn't happen. But we'll be talking about it later.